Relax. We're finally doing this. You know what I mean? We've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, man. As far as the joint is concerned, I think that if sure at some point my girlfriend will peek in and I'll have to do like a motion with my hands.
Okay, deal.
She knows to be quiet, you know. She'll have to like creep down the stairs and hand me a joint, and it's gonna have to be all nonverbal. But I think I'm
That's
gonna be able to pull it off.
I respect that. I like that one. All right, man. So before we start talking, because we were just talking about who you thought was the goat was. Do you want to just kind of introduce yourself?
Yeah, man. So my name is Kevin Hibbard. My hip hop name is Archaic. I'm from Oakville. Um, I guess my main focus would be that I'm a hip hop artist. For 7 years, I did freestyling and performing on a weekly basis, and only last year began to actually get in a recording studio and try and, rather than have everything be unscripted, really try and put some things down in cement. And that was a big step for me. But I have two
Nice.
EPs out so far this year, 5 tracks
Right.
total, and yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward.
For sure. Well, at least in the description of the audio and video, I'm gonna be putting down Kevin's Spotify. I've heard a couple songs. There was one song we were talking about. It gave me a very Immortal Technique vibe. What was it called? I don't know if you look it
Probably
up.
Oracle. My first EP was a bit darker.
Yeah. It just slowly lights being shed onto it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice, nice.
Well, to be honest, the first project I had some of it had been written over those 7 years, without any real direction or collaboration on it. Going to a project, I ended up, I guess, recycling, if you will, things that I had written over the years. And then the second EP would be a more reflection of what I had actually written in the last 6 months.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's pretty sick. Cause I know you're a man of faith, right?
I am, yes,
Yeah.
still learning for sure, and got a
Still
long
learning
way
for
to go,
sure.
but absolutely that's the focus.
Yeah. So like the your faith, it reflects onto your music, obviously, right? A little bit. Or do you try to kind of keep that a little bit separate, so it's not too like gospel or anything?
I think I'm getting closer and closer with every project to being straight gospel eventually,
Yeah.
and that my music's probably a reflection of how I've been going through the sanctification process step by step, and so it's a little, I guess, to say as lightly as possible, a little less blasphemous each time.
Oh, hey, that's I guess that's the point of going towards gospel, right? You gotta take that blasphemy out slowly and slowly. Smash the gospel, but you're not like do you like when you say gospel. Obviously, like most of my viewers, the first thing they're gonna think when I say gospel or you say gospel is gonna be like a Kanye vibe, right?
Yeah, I think so. My next project's going to be reggaeton and reggae, and I've been
Let's get it.
well,
Yeah, you're telling me that.
I I'm not the best singer in the world, but I got a heck of a wizard in the producing studio making me sound like I can. So really trying to push
Okay.
the limits and really go straight to more gospel music
Yeah.
potentially. Definitely the rap will always still be a part of it, but um, yeah, I feel like there's more power behind singing.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that because you feel like because if you think about it, when you hear someone rapping, you don't. Some people aren't really that moved, right? Unless it's like a more of a, like a slam poetry type thing, right? But then when someone's
Yeah, the
singing,
words.
yeah, but when you're singing, someone could be really moved by the sound of just someone's voice. Doesn't matter what you're saying, but just sound of that voice, right?
I think maybe I put it on a bit of a pedestal singing because the wordsmith is always, I guess, was more of a foundation in being able to come up with lyrics. Though to actually put energy or emphasis or to just really go from a poet to a real recording artist takes.
Okay.
I've just been wanting to take steps more forward in the direction of having more of a range.
Okay. So, do you think like you said like a poet and like a recording artist, you kind of put them in like different categories. Do you think those are two separate different things, or like do you think a poet can have some sort of like artistic like recorded, but like have represent it in a more artistic way?
Um, I apologize. Could you please
Oh
rephrase
no,
that
it's all
question?
good. No, what I was trying to say is that like, cause you kind of like, if I heard it right, you kind of separated someone who does poetry versus someone who's like a recording artist. Do you ever think like you can kind of like mix the two in a sense like you don't have to like be a rapper or like I don't know like you can still like recite poetry the way you want to, but like it doesn't have to be like so mainstream. Does that make sense?
I think it comes down to whether the individual has rhythm or not, which is a really, really hard thing. I've seen
Ah,
people
okay, yeah,
that's really try and learn rhythm. So if you're a writer and you're out there and you write poetry or it's, if you have rhythm as well, then the two should marry with one another and have
right.
some confidence. And I think that you'd be a great rapper, though it's the combination of having the two, I think is bare minimum foundations is rhythm's a big part of it for sure. That's where some writers don't, whether by not wanting to or the inability to cross over into something like being a recording artist as well.
Okay, so that's where that bridge is pretty much that the ableness, I guess, if that's a word, of
To put
to record it and
to
put it
put it on a
into.
beat.
Yeah, okay, to put on a beat. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because a lot that is true though. If you think about it, poetry's usually no music, no nothing in the back, just spoken word, right?
Slam poetry is
Yeah.
amazing. I think it's fantastic, though it doesn't have any sort of correlating rhythm with it.
Right, right.
And so that's the difference between the two. Both are great, but yeah, I think if somebody has rhythm, if you can keep a rhythm on a instrument or a drum or something of that nature, tapping your
Yeah.
hands to things
Right.
and put your words to it.
When you say slam poetry, have you ever watched the 22 Jump Street?
Yes,
do you,
yes,
do you, do you remember the slam poetry scene?
I do.
Dude, anytime someone says slam poetry, that's all I can think about. Is that one scene.
I Yeah, I think it's a great scene. Before I ever did hip hop, when I was in middle school, actually, before I think that smoking copious amounts of marijuana has changed my personality
Okay.
from where I was in middle school until when I started smoking at the beginning of high school. But I used to be one of those guys. I used to be in the improv club. I used to be in all the school
Really?
plays.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I was more of a drama kid, if anything
I
else. And
respect
then,
that.
I started to think I had to be cool and kind of went down the path that I did.
Oh, you
I
start
got to high
smoking
school and I
weed.
said, you know what? I don't want to be one of these drama kids.
No, if you
It was
if you think about it,
very egotistically driven.
be like going away from drama or like staying in drama was egotistically driven. A little bit of
Yeah, I
both.
guess I'm sure I was dramatic outside of the theater, so
I did a
at
play
least
once.
beforehand I had more of an excuse.
Yeah, I did a play once. It was grade 4.
Sir, yeah, it's exciting to still be young men and to feel that every year I'm making strides.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz you're 27, right?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. I think there was a bit of delay on my side, so I
Oh no,
started
it's all
talking
good.
while
It's
you
all
were.
good. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, no, so you're 27, right?
Yes.
Man, you're so young. I mean, I'm younger than you are, but you get a lot of people who think like mid 20s start when you start hitting that old age, but in all honesty, I feel like you're just scratching that surface, right?
They say that you're going to, I mean, I guess as a man, if you're to look at it from a physical standpoint, and a lot of things obviously correlate with that mentally, etc. I think that pocket is maybe 27 to 35 would be the prime of your life as
The
a
prime
man,
of your life,
in
yeah.
terms of physically at least. And
Yeah,
then, of course, hopefully wisdom continues onwards as you get older and take
true.
steps each year. But as far as being a physical specimen is concerned, high testosterone levels, getting to see yourself at your animalistic tops as the lion out there or whatever, that's
Yeah.
27 to 35. That's when you have your opportunity to see, are you going to be one of those guys with big muscles or not, or if you, are you going to have extreme sexual prowess or whatever ambitions people have. I think that's the pocket right there.
Fair. That is very fair because that age, that prime of your life, that's when I feel like that's the most. I feel like that's like the most like level you can be. I guess you can say like physically and mentally, right? Because then like once you pass that 35, that physical starts to go away, like you said. But then you also want that mental to like start growing, right?
I hear a lot of people, they're talking about how, in their 20s they can kind of have fun, do what they'd like, and then come their 30s they'll start to figure things out. Though I've also seen a lot of things whereas they say that at 35 years old, most people by that age have become almost an automatic uh, replay of the habits that they've established after over a certain period of time. So the way that I think of it is, if we don't start establishing the habits right then and there when there's a certain way that you'd like to be, it's only going to get more difficult as you get older. It's really important, if there's healthy habits or positive things you want to be doing in your life, that you just start laying that groundwork as young as possible.
It's actually crazy you say that because like the way I think of it too is like, you want kids like fairly young, not too old, because you kind of want to grow with your kids and like be able to do things with your kids without you being like 60 years old, right? You don't want to have a kid at like 30, 40, like 35, 40, and all of a sudden like by the time they're 20 you're 60, right? But I did tell myself is that like I personally need to be set. I need to be okay. I need to, whatever issues I have at this age and onwards before I have kids, I need to figure out and kind of tame before I can possibly like kind of give that on to my kids. You know what I mean? If I'm dealing with things and I'm still trying to deal with things while I have children,
And
that's
I think it's
going to reflect onto them. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I think everything you said makes complete sense. And then also the opposite, with everything in some manner being a paradox, it seems, and there always being the opposing side of the coin, is that no matter how prepared you are spiritually, mentally, physically, whatever the individual wants that level to reach before they have children, it's actually going to be having those kids that I've heard from a lot of parents that will provide that conduit.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Opportunity rather to reach higher levels of maturity, no matter how prepared you might
cut
be.
Out there, sorry, you said conduit and then you cut out. Are you gonna switch spots now?
Yeah, it's been cutting out on me, and I don't want to. Yeah, I think it's a basement vibe, so I'm coming up to the main floor.
Fair. Here, while you do that, I'm going to start my blunt. And then start smoking this. Honestly speaking, this is probably this is like a little mini blunt, as you can see. Show my audience over there, but
you have me curious. You say my audience over there. Are we talking over the podcast, or if you got like 3 or 4 people just sitting on the couch on the other side of the room?
I got executives just watching. It's like, cut that out. Oh, you can't say that. No, I got my I got my cats here just watching me, so they're my little
more
audience.
Company than I have.
Alright, let me start this up. Oh. I inhaled some weed. Oh, that's what I guess. Those are my version of edibles. Okay, now I'm a little set. What were we just talking about? We were just talking about kids and all that stuff. But one thing I do want to kind of get back into that we were talking about before the show started and everything was the sweater you had on.
Yep.
So you wore
Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors, baby. We're winning it next year.
Not next year, but I'm hoping I'm hoping Giannis makes his way over.
Yeah,
I'm hearing he might go to Dallas if Porzingis is healthy and is the third option on that team with Luka as well. That's a terrifying prospect for sure. Just happy everyone's going over the Western Conference and the Raptors can keep looking a little better than they are.
exactly, exactly. But if you think about it, that's when they're gonna start facing that LeBron, LeBron excuse of, oh, he's facing no competition in the East. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
Like,
was one of those people. I was one of those people that
yeah.
said, let's see how he fares over in the Western Conference.
Listen, it kind of showed that LeBron couldn't handle the West without AD. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he, we are right. LeBron can't handle the West. You know what I mean? He could handle the East by himself, right? With Cleveland, like he did. He's been handling the East, but he cannot handle the West by himself. This season actually proved it because last year, mind you, he got injured towards the end, right? They were on a good roll coming up. This is probably all like back noise to you, but um he ended up getting injured. The Lakers didn't make the playoffs last year. I think it's the first time in LeBron's career in a while he didn't make the playoffs.
yeah. I think it had been over a decade, or around the decade mark. I think that I saw some stat that, and I'm gonna get this wrong, but
Hey man, bro,
it
science
was
all
in the
day
last. Yeah,
here.
absolutely. The last 10 or 11 seasons, I think he's only missed the playoffs once. And of course, Jordan, every time he's gone to the finals, if I'm not mistaken, he ends up winning it.
Yeah.
Though I'd argue with LeBron, it's the game just keeps getting faster, higher skill.
So when you say
It would,
faster, higher
no
skill,
doubt Michael Jordan, and some of the other guys would be.
would be
Yeah,
number one. No, no. You say there's a high skill now. Do you think it's because it's become a younger man's game now, besides like an older man's game, as when Michael used to play?
I would say as the sport's grown,
Yeah,
I would imagine that the practices, drills, the grooming, and all of
taking care of
that,
your
the
body.
rehearsal, if you will, from a very young age to allow someone to have the opportunity to be an NBA player. I think that that's just grown to such a large scale, and not to mention population continues to increase,
To increase, yeah,
and
that's very true.
and so that one in however many that has the natural gift to be able to build skill upon in order to make the NBA or be a professional athlete. There's just more of them around. It's more competitive to
That's
get a
true.
job in the
And
NBA today.
it's funny you say that because I literally just saw this video of this French kid. He's 16 years old, okay? 16, he's like 7 foot. God knows, I think he's like 7'3", 7'4", and he has almost an 8 foot wingspan. This kid looks like a walking like Slender Man, right? And
Man,
he's like playing against Rudy Gobert, who's a former Defensive Player of the Year, and he's literally like he's scoring on him, making it look easy.
it's that is just an outstanding height. If you have any athletic ability at all when you're that tall and lanky, then I haven't heard of this individual myself, so I can only imagine what an advantage that would be.
He's got handles. They kind of compare him to Kristaps, like Porzingis a little bit. You know what I mean? But I've in my life I've met 3 or 4 7 footers, and it's like when you see one, you literally look, you're like, what? Like, is this real?
Yeah. I
It's
I like to play basketball at the park and get into pickup games, and
where
I
here
remember
in
one
London?
instance in particular. Not in London, no.
Oh,
Usually between Oakville and Waterloo Kitchener area. Seems to be sometimes, like very rarely in Toronto as well,
Jamal
but
Murray's
mostly,
stomping grounds.
yeah. And yeah, I was happy to see him do well. That highlight everyone was showing him the layup on LeBron. That was super cool.
Oh yeah.
Um,
You
but
you do
yeah,
you know him? Not know him, but like, cause I feel like you're around the same age as him. No, he's younger than me, I think. Cause
I don't though to answer your question.
no, I was gonna say like, because you're from that Oakville area, I feel like, and you said you played in like the Waterloo area. Did you like hear his name being said around the like Kitchener Waterloo area?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone who follows basketball, absolutely.
Nice.
And yeah, I've seen not quite 7 footer, but quite close to it before. This one time I got into a 2-on-2, three guys that were very talented, outskilled me, played at some competitive level,
Nice.
and one of them was, I'd say the two of them were about 6'6", 6'7", and the other one was maybe around 6'11".
Oh my
And
god.
so just total
A-
trees, right, with
And I
great
think you're
handles.
my height, right?
I'm 5'11". Um,
Yeah, you're my height.
and
Oh.
I like to say that I'm 6 feet with my basketball shoes on.
That's why, that's why I like to get a lot of Nikes because they got like thicker soles. You
Yeah,
feel better. You
no,
feel better about
exactly.
yourself.
I got the Kyries right now, and yeah, I mean it was fun
Nice.
playing with him. First of all, on the defensive side of the ball, I could not guard either of them whatsoever.
Yeah.
Two trees.
What do you do, right?
When I had possession, it was just throw it in the air as high as possible, and he just goes up and gets it. So that was pretty cool to experience. Throwing up passes to a guy that tall, you literally just throw it as high as you can in the sky, right? And they just jump up and grab it.
You probably just felt like you were like Magic Johnson, just alley oop into Kareem every time, just like there you go.
Yeah,
You're
just
probably
as
just
high
like I
as
can make the
possible, right
NBA
on top
passing
of
like
him.
this. If this is all I gotta do to pass it to a big guy, I can just do this all day if I'm in the NBA.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of mercy on whom was defending me. That's for sure. You know how most guys at the park be lazy on the defensive side of the ball. But
A
me, who,
hundred percent.
isn't playing at a competitive level, I'm putting all of my, like every last ounce of effort into
Yeah.
my defensive side, even in the most basic of games.
Um, you mentioned to me that you thought LeBron was the goat, right? But based on the fact that of today's game and like the higher skill and the high competition and everything, from like old times. Do you want to like elaborate on that a little bit
Yeah,
more
absolutely. I mean, it's worth saying that I have a bias, right?
before I
And
jump
that
through
I
that
got to
screen?
see
Just
LeBron.
kidding.
Yeah, LeBron, I got to see him play through his career and be more, the interworkings of things along the way.
Hmm.
So certainly a very big bias when it comes to that, though my opinion, as it is in any sport, is that it's harder to be the top player in today's game than it was, a decade ago
Okay.
or 2 decades ago,
Okay.
onwards.
Okay. I feel that. I get what you're saying. I like. I feel like it's hard for LeBron to be great now because all these guys that are he's playing, um, it's kind of like their moment to shine, and like LeBron can always beat them on base like pure like experience. You know what I mean? They can be physically better and like they can do more, but then like strictly on experience, LeBron can overcome and then take those games away from these guys. Um, but yeah, so like
LeBron has his
say it again.
I was gonna say LeBron has his gifts,
Yes,
in terms of his skill level, though physically and things of that nature. But it's his IQ, really. It's the way he sees the court.
100%.
He has this aura, as all the greats have had around them for the most
Yeah,
part, that
yeah,
just demands respect and
yeah,
people. He's a great leader.
yeah. Oh, 100%. Like I'll be honest with you, like I personally I strongly believe that LeBron has the greatest career, right? Through all the achievements he's had, through all the pressure he's had and how he's overcome it. You know what I mean? Like everything. Like I think LeBron's had the greatest career. Like, but I mean, like I'm a basketball player also. You know what I mean? Like so, like my goat, like my personal goat, obviously is Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you heard the last podcast, but I was saying this is that like LeBron is like a physical specimen. You know what I mean? Like he's a
Yeah.
one of a kind human being. You know what I mean? So you expect this type of greatness behind him in a sense. You know what I mean? Especially with like how they put him on a pedestal. Like you expect all this greatness. Hence why if he comes short of any sort of greatness, he receives a lot of hate, right? But the thing with me is that I don't put all this greatness onto him, right? I think he's an amazing player, once in a lifetime player. Um, but I how do I explain? It's like there's more to it than just all the stats he puts up. You know what I mean? I look at his attitude. I look at like his demeanor. Like I look at all this stuff, and like that tells me if I like you as a player or not. Um, with LeBron, like there's some things I don't like about him. You know what I mean? I just feel like because he's put on such a pedestal, like little things seem amazing. You know what I mean? Like I remember this one time he had the ball. Tristan Thompson gave him a screen. He went and he put the ball behind his back trying to split the defense, but then he put the ball in between Tristan Thompson's feet, his own player's feet. And I remember just seeing this, like, oh my god, like LeBron's amazing, like I can't believe he did that. That we all know that was luck. We all know what he was trying to do. It was a good move. But if Tristan Thompson's foot moved a little bit and he hit it, it turns into a bad play, or it turns into Tristan Thompson's fault.
Well, it's you mentioned you're talking about like the physical gifts LeBron has.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, rest in peace, Kobe. The man is much more skilled than LeBron James is. If you put Kobe's spirit in LeBron's body, we'd see a better player.
100%. I think you would see a GOAT. I would definitely think you would see a GOAT.
So the question is, who wins one-on-one between Kobe and James?
Kobe.
100%.
The reason why.
Yeah, with the speed.
But think like this. LeBron is an amazing 5-on-5 player, right? He's a team player. Remember that. When he drives, he always looks to kick that ball out. Right? If the defense is too on him, he always looks to kick that ball out because he knows that's a smart basketball move.
Because he's a physical presence, so he demands double teams and things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah. Like for example, the pass that he gave to Danny Green, LeBron could have easily drove onto that because he's such a physical specimen. At least got some sort of contact. You now have 2 free throws, but what's one of LeBron's worst features? His free throws. He knows that. You know what I mean? And like,
it's a good point. You bring up the free throws.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So like, he knew that there's a chance that if he shoots those free throws, he knows that there's a possibility he's gonna miss. You know what I mean? So what did he do? He kicked that ball right out to Danny Green, who shot absolutely horribly. We've all seen it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why LeBron gets a lot of hate, because it's kind of like, hey, you could have driven that right up, right? You made the right basketball play, obviously, but you could have driven right up and possibly get that foul. But you know that you might miss a free throw, and now all that pressure is on you. You made the right play. If he misses, it's okay. LeBron made the right play. Danny Green, you suck. If he makes it, LeBron made an amazing kick-out play. Look at what he did, blah, blah, blah. Danny Green, great job. He made it, but LeBron made a great play.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, 2 things. Number one, I think you have me convinced, to be honest with you. I'm gonna fold on this one. I think that the argument you presented, I'm on the Kobe train now. Don't mean to be that easily influenced or nothing, but
no. I don't
just as you were speaking,
because I know people who are listening right now probably like they're agreeing with you, and I do agree with you also. I strongly do, but obviously like because I'm putting myself in your shoes, I can see it. But where I'm standing, I kind of want to give my side, so they have like both arguments going on. But like, no, I'm not trying to switch your train or anything. But
I mean, as a guy who's not the size of LeBron James nor Kobe for that matter, but there's obviously a difference in those two. I like the idea of going with a guy that had more of
an underdog type
an attainability to him.
Yes, right, because like Kobe got there because he worked so hard. So you're like, if I work really hard, I can get there. But
yeah,
so and that's what I'm saying too. Like LeBron, like because it's this day, like this era is a little bit more softer, right? Everything's a little bit more foul, right? So LeBron driving in and trying to do that huge dunk, any sort of contact on him is going to be a foul. So that's why he's able. And also, if you look at LeBron's shot chart, majority of his shots are within 5 feet of the rim.
Yeah, it's a strong point. And you also mentioned, Danny Green missing that shot. It really upset me to see the
the hate he got.
The hate he got.
It was awful.
It's
and you know what's really messed up? It's these people, like I strongly believe they don't really mean it. It's just they're so emotional and so passionate about the game, or like they say stupid stuff. I know somebody. I'm not gonna say his name, and if you're listening to this, and I'm gonna message you to listen to this just for this one part, so you listen.
Then we're gonna find you.
We're gonna find you because this guy, he loves the game of basketball. Okay, right? He loves the game of basketball. But sometimes he gets so into it that he acts like crazy. Like, um, he had a ball and then he had a knife. Like, he he was so into the game. He's like, if they miss, I'm gonna stop this basketball. Like crazy like that. Like, I just think like when people get like that, it's just like I don't know. Like, I just think there's some really crazy people out there. That just they're just over invested into the game sometimes, and like they just say whatever they like, word vomit, right? And all these threats, I just think it's just word vomit, and like they shouldn't pay attention to it. But like at the same time, you shouldn't be saying that kind of stuff. That's just really fucked up. Like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm as guilty as almost anyone who, has the odd manic conversation, if you will. I'm definitely known for rambling and talking quite a bit. So on the contrary, I do understand the power that words do have, and while I'm not often picking my words as carefully as I should, there's definitely a line that I would never cross.
Right.
Understanding that there is a deep impact that speech can have on an individual.
Especially, actually, this is actually a great way to go into one of our next topics, which is like because you're telling me you watched The Social Dilemma, right? Hello.
Yeah.
Is it? Am I lagging?
Hey, brother, I've had silence on my end now for about 15 seconds.
Yeah. Can you? I think our
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think it's lagging a little bit here. One sec. Um. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can hear me a little bit easier now, like closer together.
Closer together, yeah.
Okay, good. I was talking, and all of a sudden you wouldn't say anything. I was just like, "Hello."
Yeah, no, I was wondering what it must have sounded like on your end, but it sounds as if it's lagging, yet the sentence is still coming together, but the words are separate. So I don't know if it's like some sort of a delay or
Okay, well, I feel like I can hear you pretty clearly, like, and you can hear me pretty clearly. Um,
yeah, we're good now.
okay, we're good now.
I heard social dilemma. Yeah.
Yes, social dilemma. So, as you were talking, like you said, so because like you said, like people speaking like that on social media, like you can understand why they speak like that, right? Because one, you're behind a screen. This person's never ever going to see you in their life, so you feel like you can say whatever you want, not
Hmm.
caring how the other person thinks, right? Or like how the other person feels, type thing. Um, with this day and age, with mental illness going up and everything and being very high, this kind of conversation, um, being like death threats, like just shitting on people constantly. You think that obviously that obviously has a impact on the reputation of social media, correct?
Yeah, I think that you know, like many tools that we have, I always like to use the idea of a knife. You could use a knife to hurt someone, or you could use a knife to take some peanut butter from a jar and
Exactly.
give your friend a snack, right?
Yeah.
And so everything seems to be double edged, and it's unfortunate because in terms of where it seems that we as a collective consciousness, if you will, here on planet Earth, or maybe it's just in the Western world, or maybe, it's in North America. I'm not the most well traveled individual, but I could say for ourselves at least that the maturity level seems to be very low when it comes to things of that nature, and the just how loosely words can be given out and how impactful they can be on the one receiving them. It's a pretty terrifying thing, and I think that a lot of tools that we get put in our hand that are too powerful, we tend to abuse, and so definitely social media is one of those tools, and I think that there's a lot of other things as well that would fall under that umbrella.
Did you game as a kid, like in high school and everything? Because we grew up in like we were like the guinea pigs of the social media age, right? With like online gaming and all that stuff. Like we're kind of the guinea pigs of that.
Yeah, I gamed for sure. I was
You play Call of Duty and stuff?
not online much, but like I was first day the World of Warcraft came out, I
Okay.
was already there engaging online, and so one of the bigger MMOs that had come out.
So, did you find like on the chats sometimes some people would be like really nasty and like they just be like just talking shit and like you see those videos online like playing Call of Duty because I'm speaking based on experience because I played Call of Duty and like when you're playing like online there you have people talking shit constantly and like just going off dropping n bombs like you know what I mean? Have you ever experienced that playing games?
Yeah, I used to play the NHL series quite a bit. Um, so
I
definitely
think
heard some characters for sure. Yeah.
that's funny because like I think who was it that NASCAR guy was playing NHL I think or someone was playing NHL or something like that, and like he dropped the M bomb. So that's actually pretty funny that you say that. No, the reason why I say that is because PlayStation, alright, because I'm a PlayStation guy, has a new update now that all party conversation is actually going to be recorded. So like PlayStation headquarters can hear your
Mm.
party chats and everything. Um, at first I was kind of like, holy shit, you got to really watch out what you say now, right? And then I find out is that apparently it's because some kid killed himself playing like because he got like this I guess bullied online like on like over the game and then like ended up killing himself. So now PlayStation is kind of like doing their part and kind of saying, all right, so now we're gonna record everything, and if you get caught saying some stupid shit, you might like something might happen. Am I lagging again?
Yeah. I'm hearing everything that you're saying. I just don't know if I begin my response and whether it's over or not yet due to the leg and stuff. But yeah, no. And what you said, that's definitely really sad. And I think that maybe this is my cynical mind on this matter, but as much as it could be a part of security, everything seems to be monetized, every last opportunity, any landscape whatsoever. And so
Oh yeah,
who knows, maybe all this stuff being recorded is to do with market research as well.
kind of like how Social Demo is doing. What are you talking about? Like, kind of
Social Dilemma got to me.
yeah. It completely screwed you, right? Can you hear me? Oh, did you freeze? Hello, testing.
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, okay.
My apologies. I know it's probably, you say you hear me super clear. It's been a lot of lag.
Yeah, I feel like I'll say something and then it gets to you like slower. It's funny watching you because like I can see you. I feel like I can see you listening.
Uh,
um,
yeah, I took that in. You probably just see me sitting here looking all puzzled and stuff, trying to figure out how to go about this.
no, it's all good. We were talking about social dilemma, talking shit, mental illness. Well, not really mental illness, but like, um, do you think we're gonna see a lot more?
You
I guess
know, you,
cases.
you brought up a point there,
Well, continue on your point. What was my point?
I was gonna say that, I had mentioned World of Warcraft, and you said, did you see that people had been typing nasty things to you in the comment section or whatever it was then? And yeah, absolutely. I think that you had mentioned we were the guinea pigs in a lot of ways, and so we weren't as immersed on technology then as we were today. So while there were still some very hurtful things being said, I think that people, and normally there's a negative connotation with this. Normally people would say that the negative connotation of people being more what's the word I'm looking for, like essentially offended nowadays than they used to be. And I think that a big part of that is because you brought up the point that it's easier to say something behind a computer screen and not think of the consequences or feel the individual's energy firsthand. And as we were the guinea pigs and we were the ones that first started to be a part of this big experiment, or the new lifestyle that we're headed to, ever more and more being online and over social media, I think that we didn't take it as seriously. We understood that we were just less immersed in our communication being on social media, so we saw it as a something to do more with the video game than we actually did being our way of life and communicating. And especially with things like COVID and stuff now, I'm sure a lot of the socializing mostly is done for a lot of individuals over video games now. And I don't know that that was as prevalent when the betas were coming out for this sort of thing.
I hear what you're saying. Like, you say like kind of like meet like socializing with others and everything. Have you ever made like friends over gaming? Like pretty good friends, like good friends.
I've done it once. Yeah, I mentioned I played the NHL series, and I met a guy who that we figured out about 4 hours from one another. We never linked
Oh,
up
cool.
personally, but we played on the same like hockey ultimate team, or it was the EASHL is what it was called. And so yeah,
Yeah.
like you could run two people games, and him and I got along on a game or whatever, and became quite regularly like having conversations and playing games together. So yeah, it's happened.
Okay, yeah. I remember I met two guys, Sean and Sean Perez and Rudolph Fernando, something like that. They're like cousins or like friends. They're from Texas.
Rudolph Fernando from Texas.
Yeah, and
Shout
Sean
out Rudolph.
Perez. Yeah, shout out Rudolph. Hope you guys fucking remember me. Sean Perez from fucking Texas, also San Antonio, I think. Um, yeah, I remember like playing Call of Duty, and then I met these guys, uh, like just randomly playing, and then surprisingly became very close. Like we added each other on Facebook, started talking a lot more. Like I would I would go game just to talk to these guys. Like and it didn't even
Mm-hmm.
become about gaming. It just be like it's like hanging out. You know what I mean? We just so happened to be
Right.
playing Call of Duty, which I thought was pretty cool. But I remember one time, uh, we were playing and this kid he had like I think he was like 8 or 9. I think no, like around that age, like 8 to we'll say 8 to 12, that age range. And we were playing and he's like talking shit. Like he is like dropping M bombs, like he's talking about like our moms and all this stuff. And I remember just like holy crap. And like I think I was in like grade 10, so I was like what 15. And I remember I was like, "Yo, you need to like relax." Like we would talk shit back, obviously, but like when he got really nasty, he was like, "Yo, like you gotta set like you can't be talking like that." And we were like kind of like giving him shit, and then he puts his dad on,
Hmm.
and then we just told him like, "Yo, your kid's saying this. Like, can you like telling him like you gotta watch what your kid's saying?" And he starts going off on us.
Mm.
So we're like, okay, so we can see where this is coming from.
Right.
Yeah, it, and like I said, you're hiding behind the screen. You know what I mean? You would so anyone can say anything over the screen. And that's what's really scary, and that's what's really fucked up, and it makes us. I feel like it makes us really weak as a race. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, just you know, in this particular circumstance, it's someone speaking ignorantly with anger, and that being one side of it. Though I think just as I alluded to a bit earlier, energetically in general, whether it be romantic connection, whether it be wrath on another individual, whether it be even just two individuals such as ourselves talking right now on this podcast, there's certainly an element lost progressively the more that we look to socialize online, as opposed to in person, where there's a little more body language, reading, and speaking. There's a little more funkiness.
Honestly, I was trying to understand what you were trying to say.
Couldn't think of the word and just thought I'd throw one in.
When you said funkiness, I was like, wait, what? Wait, did I miss what he was trying to say?
Funkiness. Just as abstract as possible to sound smart.
I respect. You know what? Honestly speaking, you and my other friend Yassine, like when you guys speak very like intellectually, and it really helps me think better. You know what I mean? Because I talk really like I just talk like whatever, and I feel like I kind of have to change that, just so more people can understand me. But at the same time, at least I'm not like using slang constantly.
I think real wisdom or intelligence, if you will, really comes down to action. So while some people might sound more intelligent, if you will, with the way they speak or the words or just the structure or whatever it is, the flow, the confidence, I'm not sure what quantifies somebody being well spoken or not, their verbiage, whatever. But I think like the whole talking behind a screen thing, it's so easy to throw words out there. Some people are better at communicating than others, but true intellect, true wisdom, I believe, comes from the actions an individual takes.
Okay, like actions speak louder than words type thing, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some people are better at talking, but that doesn't make them a smart person.
True. That
in
is
my
very
opinion.
True. That is very true. You know what I mean? Some teachers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to shit talk teachers right now.
Those teachers.
Those damn teachers. But you know those teachers that they just shit on you just because they can. You know what I mean? They'll talk to you a certain way just because they can, and they know you can't speak back to them.
I spent so little time in school that I was treated quite well by the teachers whenever I did show up for anything. There was a lot of Kevin, you can do this. A lot of stay after class when I'm there, 1 in 7 days. And, even going back to middle school, I didn't get dumped on by teachers too much, I guess, because, I struggled in school when I was younger and then struggled to go to school at a pretty early age as well. So the combination between the two.
No, I was, teachers used to get mad at me because I was lazy. One thing I still always hear was that I have a lot of potential, but I'm just lazy, which is true. But yeah, that's one thing I did hear. And growing up, I guess you can kind of see it more. You know what I mean? Because now you're grown, you can see in a different light. And to all the teachers who I was about to do a biggie line. To all the teachers who thought I was gonna ever amount to nothing.
Yeah.
No, but
it's a great intro.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. That should be the intro to this one. Just put some biggie on.
That would go well with Let's Be Blunt.
That would be. No, I was gonna say to all the teachers who believed in me, thank you. I'm kind of fulfilling my potential of being successful the way I think what success is, but shout out to you guys for never giving up on me.
I am going back to So next Tuesday I have a meeting set up, and I'm going to a center to register to finish my high school through independent study. So it actually,
Nice.
I'm technically in grade 10. I haven't
Jesus Christ.
been much in high school since I was
What?
15, and
Really?
I just decided now because I'd like to do some post-secondary education, if you will, that yeah, I got to go back. I understand that I'm going to get a bunch of maturity credits due to life experience and things of that nature. They're quite lax about it, but there will be some things,
That's pretty
maths and
sick, man.
Englishes, and
Congratulations,
that
bro.
I'll have to get. It's you know what, I as much as I don't put too much emphasis into not having gotten a high school degree, I do wish that I had put more effort into school
Yep, I feel
at
the
the
same,
time I
man.
was there.
I feel the same. I feel like I could have really seized the opportunities that were kind of put there in front of me.
I think if a lot of us went back to our younger selves, we'd just be doing
Oh,
nonstop
100%.
dribbling drills, right? We'd just be out on the court every
Oh
day
my
taking jump
god.
shots.
Yo, I'd probably be in the NBA right now with a podcast called Let's Be Blunt. But no, I also think about it, and I also think that if I wasn't the way it was then, I wouldn't be the way I am now. But also, if I was better then, I'd be better now. But I never know. You never know that, right? I could be worse now.
Yeah, I think there's those that go the wrong way, and it inspires them to notice they're going the wrong way, freak out and start sprinting the other way with more tenacity than those that took that right way from the beginning. And then
Yeah.
there's those that go that wrong direction and they genuinely um, faithfully or stubbornly trudge onwards.
I was gonna say I really do believe that people who had like quote unquote perfect life, you know what I mean? Like you got like straight A's, you did this, you did that, you know what I mean? Like I, I really do believe you haven't really experienced life until you've hit some sort of downfall.
Had tragedy of some sort.
Exactly. Some sort of tragedy. Like you know what I mean? Like it could be anything, you know what I mean? But like some sort of like you need to have bad in your life. Like hey, I hate to say it like this, but some of the bad shit that happens in your life, like growing up, you know what I mean? Traumas, it all happens in a sense to teach you
Right.
to become stronger.
Yeah, you can't become more adaptive or wise without an obstacle, I guess. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's why I remember like going undefeated, like during a season, going like the thought of going undefeated, I was like, man, that'd be amazing. But then I was like, nah, like I'd rather have experienced the loss before I experienced the
Hmm.
loss at the wrong time.
It's a
You know
good
what I
way to
mean?
put it.
Because think about it like this. Like, do you watch football at all?
I'm a Bills fan.
Ooh, okay, that's fair.
I mean, I can't. I would have been on a much higher horse if the last game hadn't gone the way it did for us. But we had been off to a really strong start. Still so record wise, but yeah, that last game
Yeah.
was disappointing.
I used to watch football when I was younger. I was a big Randy Moss fan, and then when I started watching football, Randy Moss was on the Patriots, and that's when they went 16-0. And so, and so when they lost in the finals against the Giants, and like that's when I was kind of like it was like kind of set into my head that like I'd rather not face a loss now. Like why would I want to lose in the Super Bowl? You know what I mean? I'd rather face a loss in
Hmm.
the beginning. So in a sense, I have that hunger towards I do not want to have this feeling again. I'd rather lose like the last game of the regular season than a game in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. It took me a little while to catch that you were speaking metaphorically and not literally. Though I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely, man. I think that I've done enough of making mistakes and going the wrong direction in my life that that is no longer an interest of mine. There's no curiosity behind it. It's all guns blazing what I perceive to be the right way, and of course continue to become more wise to what that right way is. But I used to knowingly go the wrong way, I think, at times, for sure.
Yeah.
So there's a big there's been a big switch for sure. I always like to use the metaphor that's like if you experience a certain level of darkness, so to say, to find the light and see its beauty in comparison, right? It's like the true beacon. It's the lighthouse. It's so incredibly captivating in comparison to not succeeding or to not like you said, living in a manner that you would deem successful.
Yeah. I see what you're trying to say. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like super stoned, and like I'm trying to take in this information. And you said lighthouse, and I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. And then I'm just thinking about a lighthouse, and all of a sudden I just forgot because I'm just thinking about a
Well,
lighthouse.
you know what? You had mentioned that we were going to be talking a lot about aliens today, so I've got my girlfriend grabbing the bong just so that I can take myself up another notch, and hopefully, like I mentioned, we got some tinfoil nearby in the cupboard, and so just in case they're going to be listening in on our conversation, I'm prepared.
Okay, you know what? Let's just talk about aliens right now. How about that? Okay.
It's been time.
It has been time. Okay. What are your first of all? What are your thoughts on aliens, and like what's your standpoint on it?
My standpoint is, I mean, first of all, as someone who professes to be Christian, because aliens aren't directly mentioned in the mannerism that many would say that they are today in that sphere of believers, I hesitate to call it a fact. Though I am also open to the idea that, like we had mentioned once when we had met, maybe for the second or third time, quickly at the store, that they may be the fallen angels that are spoken about in the Bible. Those who they say in the early days saw that the daughters of man were beautiful, and they came down from the heavens to take any as they chose for their wives, and that's how the Nephilim were born. And there's there's a lot of what almost seems like mysticism in the Bible, and as a Christian, we believe it. So are aliens really that far out there? Absolutely not.
So okay, so I love how like the first conversation you had was about kind of like the Nephilim, because I remember earlier in the day today, I was like, I know for a fact that one of the things we're going to talk about today is the Nephilim. So like when I came home, I put some Nephilim videos on, and I'm like watching it, and I'm like kind of like refreshing my mind. It brought up one of my thoughts that I saw in another show. So do you know how there are the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, the Hindu gods, the Norse gods? You know what I mean? Like Thor, all of them. Do you think that those like they're not actually like gods, but they're like more like aliens? But because you cannot explain what they are, you say that they're like gods.
You hold them in as like a deity.
Yes, exactly. So do you think like in a sense Thor, like it's just an alien, like it's not actual Thor, like blonde hair, like that's just the way they depict it, so it's like better to see.
Yeah, like the Jesus with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah. And the ripped abs and the legs.
And on a pickup truck with like machine guns and stuff, right? Fire blazing in the background.
Just saying Merc.
No, you know what? You totally blew my mind right now, to be honest with you. I had never drawn that parallel. I'm incredibly open-minded to that. I think absolutely. I'm just reading right now in the Bible. I'm in the book of Acts, and at one point, Peter is performing these miracles, and people are all calling him Zeus, and Bartholomew, whom I believe who is with him, Hermes.
Yeah.
And he's saying, no, I'm not Zeus, and they're trying to bring sacrifices up to him, and they're slaughtering animals in front of him, and he's like, no man, I'm just another man like you guys are, right? I was appointed by Christ. So obviously the lore runs really deep in that community, as it was written in Greek, as well as Hebrew, but in this specific circumstance of which I'm mentioning. And so that's I had never put those two things together. I think absolutely that would make total sense to me.
Um,
That their legend, if you will, their personas would almost create like a superhero like
yeah,
reverence.
yeah. So like that's what I think about like Hinduism too. If you think about it, right? Like they praise all these gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, what in reality if those like obviously now they think whatever like the paintings they've seen, this is what they believe they are, but maybe back in the day they were just actual like aliens, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's
because you
interesting when we look into history and the depictions of things because there's a lot of broken telephone that goes on with even two people
100%.
having a conversation, let alone things being passed on through the ages through oracle.
That's what really kind of gets me with sometimes with like religion, is that like I feel like sometimes there's telephone being played, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah,
that's why it's
yeah.
sometimes hard to like believe some things, and like some like how it like how you can make sense of some things and like sense of other things, right? It's kind of like when they contradict each other, you're like, you kind of think like, why are you contradicting each other right now? Kind of like an eye for an eye
At
type
very
thing.
at very minimum, we know that, or at least I believe you and I both have the same perspective, and that there's a spiritual, whether you want to call it a realm or
Yeah.
there's more layers to this life than we understand right now,
Yep. Yep.
and so there's a reason for all these stories. Absolutely, there's certainly a root.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's implausible to say that there hasn't been something extraordinary.
Yeah.
And because we're on this conversation, I'm actually going to indulge. It's been a while since I've talked about aliens, and I can tell that we're going a direction that's,
Let's go.
excuse my language, completely batshit. So I got to get there.
Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna roll another little joint. Dun, dun, dun. I'm gonna do the alien OG again.
I got a mouthpiece on the bong, which helps you filter the smoke, but I've always been such a lightweight. Couldn't even hit it without one.
I remember, like I stopped ripping bongs just cause like I don't know, just like the constant like just you'd have to keep cleaning it type thing to get that fresh bowl. But then like once you don't clean it after a while, you rip that token, like it just kills your chest.
My beautiful girlfriend here just brought me a second bowl, and that was quite surprising. But I got another offering here upon my altar.
I respect that. Tell her I say
this
hello.
One's for the podcast, the double up.
Oh, okay.
Taz says hello.
Hi.
This is gonna sound nice. Just sound like an explosion.
I'm smoking.
All right, Nephilim.
All right, the Nephilim. So yeah, no, like so okay, if you think about it like this, do you think so if the Nephilim happened, they obviously made it and they obviously kept having offspring. Do you think at one point the offspring die off, or do you think like if you think about it, there's something still linear to that?
There's so many theories that you could have. I kind of like the idea that I just had popped into my mind now that we had gone this route, and I hadn't put these two links before. But you would think if it was a very small minority of men or women that had some sort of extra abilities and sort of supernatural aura to them, if you will, that like look at what humans have done to many of the megafauna that used to exist on Earth and all the things that go extinct. There's a good chance that if you had stood out and demanded worship or had certain abilities that the people would rise up and take out that bloodline, you'd be very noticeable. It'd be hard
true.
to.
Is he like
I
kind of
don't know
losing in
that
plain
the.
sight?
Yeah, I don't know that the Nephilim are around anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. I was gonna say I don't. I feel like that's a little too. That's a little too far. That's when you're like you're crazy.
Yeah, I guess I'll stay quiet on the reptilian subject now. Actually,
Honestly, I want to hear about that because I keep hearing about like these different types of aliens, the white people, or no, the great.
I'm the furthest thing from an alien, bro.
No, like the great, sorry, the gray people of Mars. Like
Yeah, I think they call them the Greys.
the Greys. There you go, the Greys.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting for sure. I'll tell you what, if I am open to the idea of aliens, I think that they're demons and there's no in between for me whatsoever, because the only way that it could correlate with scripture for me, and there are many things that of course aren't revealed to us in the Bible. It says itself that only, we're only held accountable for what has been revealed to us. And I'm not going to preach scripture right now, but just ways to justify that is throughout the Bible. And so for me, it's most likely that if there are aliens, I think they would actually be demonic entities.
Yeah.
Likely in all cases.
You think it's
unless
half and half, maybe?
unless there's like angels and demons.
Kinda, yeah. Like,
yeah, once again, open-minded to it for sure. It's there's the depictions in the Bible of angels is that they're like, in like white robes and glowing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that would be typical with the depiction of these aliens, like you were talking about, the different kinds, the Greys, the reptilians. They don't look that holy to me.
True, but like, because like you hear about like when you see like alien crafts and everything, you'll see like they say like white orbs, right? Sometimes you see like orange orbs, red orbs, right? But then you see the white orbs. So do you think colors have maybe like a level to like badness or whatever? Kind of like how energy, there's different energies, like certain colors give off certain vibes.
That's obviously very prominent in Eastern philosophy and a lot of things, the association with colors. And so I don't know that that's not true. It's not something that I would find in the Bible, though. It kind of reminds me, like you talk about chakras and things like that, of Eastern philosophy and the color association. I've had some, if you will, strange experiences myself, and I don't know how much I want to sound like a loony on the podcast, but I've had my fair share of odd moments,
Yeah. Hey man, you're not gonna sound loony because like, listen, I'm a believer of anything and everything is possible. All right, like obviously, like there's some people you can tell when they're like talking, like when they're just like talking shit, but you're not that person.
I've had a few strange experiences, so I know that the supernatural is definitely real. Is it 50-50? I don't know for sure that they're all negative entities, though. You don't hear a lot of good stories associated with any sort of contact beyond visual in the sky.
True. Okay, that's very true. Because like, one of the actually, before I get into that, I want to talk about another thing. Do you think aliens created some of these world wonders you see around the world wonders that, like around, like the pyramids, the Stonehenge, like Easter Island?
I think that we have totally deluded ourselves into thinking that we as people are that we're like more intellectual now today. I would say, even like, to answer your question, I think that we've only degraded over time. We've been going the opposite direction. I don't think people have been getting smarter. I think we've become less skilled every generation. I think we've become less wise. So do I think that the aliens are the ones that made those world wonders? I don't know about that. I think that's once again open-minded to it, though I think it was people.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we look at things like the pyramids and we're like, well, how today? Because we would have such complications to recreate the pyramids in the manner they did. How would this have been made by men? I think that you had more skilled individuals back then than you do
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
In,
They.
in
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
not just like in mannerisms such as that, in construction, and
Yeah.
you know, our way of living has become, you know,
Dependent on certain things.
specializing, yeah, and specializing in areas that only our luxury has afforded.
Ooh. Okay. Um. Like another theory I hear is that maybe the aliens didn't make it themselves, but maybe they gave the people, kind of like the technology to be able to do that with ease. Like maybe even like the possibility of like coming up with contraptions and like tools and everything to do it with ease. Because have you heard of the at least with the pyramids? Have you heard of like the precision of like where it is in the world and everything?
I have, yeah,
It's nuts.
yeah, that's very interesting.
Um.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very interesting. I think that, yeah, you do bring up a good point because there was less, we would think, communication then than
Yeah.
there is today. And how would they make something so similar in such like astrological points in the way they did?
Yeah.
I mean, we could also say that people were more commonly astrologers back then. And I guess
Yeah.
the counter argument would be that they were situated in the mannerism that they were because we people as a collective consciousness were interested in and in more in depth in different things than we are today.
Mm-hmm. See, like I'll be honest with you. Like I don't know how they were built. Like I would like to know like a more realistic answer of like how they were made. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I've heard theories of like, oh yeah, they like had water and like they'd put the stone in and like it would float and would go to the one spot. But these are like hundreds of not hundreds of tons, like multi-ton like
Yeah,
rocks. So like like that kind of theory doesn't make sense. So it's like I really want to know what they actually did because I also heard that you could have done like a ramp, but the ramp would have to be at a certain degree and go at like you have to push it certain amount of times. But then where did those ramps go once the pyramids were there? Do you know what I mean? There's no evidence of a ramp being anywhere.
yeah, it's yeah, definitely open-minded that that's what happened. But if I had to pick one or the other, I do think that, you know, you and I have a hard time coming up with how the pyramids were built. Maybe back then,
Yeah.
the even the slave men were like, yeah, this makes perfect sense to me what we're doing here.
No, honestly speaking, I definitely do believe that um we lost a lot of what now would be like advanced ways of thinking was lost throughout time. I strongly believe in that.
Especially if there's been ice ages and floods and
Exactly.
things of that nature. Like
Exactly.
at a certain point, you know, are you passing on your teachings of aerodynamics and mathematics and all these things to your offspring? No, you're like, okay, this is the world you live in right now in this
Yeah.
age. This is how you get warm. This is how you
Yeah.
get food.
Yeah.
That's your entire day. There's no time
Exactly.
for let me pass on this science that we had accumulated.
Can you imagine if they did though? I really do believe that there's so much knowledge that has been lost throughout time that like
Yeah.
this is exactly why we're so separate as a universe, like as a not even universe, as like a as Earth.
Hmm.
Um, I just feel like some we went somewhere where like I think we were all chilling, and then something happened where like I don't know maybe just different thinking, too many chefs in a kitchen type of situation where like it just starts to like separate, and now we're so separated from each other. You know what I mean? We're like in reality we should be like in a sense united.
Yeah, I think you know, you say how separate that we all are. I I would imagine, and maybe I'm projecting here, that the average individual, most people are divided even against themselves. And so it's difficult to imagine there being the sort of community that there was when, um, that's why the rapper name Archaic. I have a lot of romanticized fantasies about when we'd like gather around a fire and you'd know everybody that was around in that area, and there was a sense of socializing that really did bring on the establishing of multi skill sets and um, like relationship levels and things like that. I don't mean to sound so pessimistic, though. It just seems
No.
like
No.
everyone's going to be living in their own bedroom soon in this little cubicle, and we're just going to only communicate through technology. And I see AI coming, and I'm absolutely terrified, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. Like Neuralink and all that stuff.
Oh, Neuralink and Starlink, and it's that dude is totally nuts, man. Elon Musk is on some like, oh well, if you can't beat the AI, which we know is coming, you may as well join them. And so I think he sees himself as like he could be, the leading individual at least to help try and establish this. Like, well, if I don't do it, someone else will, takes the moral stance. Though it's I don't know, man. It's like you don't want there to be AI, then like don't be doing it. Maybe that's ignorant because there's other countries with different political motives
Yeah.
going on behind the scenes, and it's like, okay, well, if we don't develop, then who knows what the future will look like, the political landscape of the world. So it's a scary thing when you see the United States gets an official Space Force division of their Air Force for space territory, if you will, and it's not plotted out in the same way.
Space police.
And if you're another country, are you gonna look in the sky and be like, okay, I guess they're the ones taking that, even if that you have a moral like, okay, we can't actually be now taking over the space in that mannerism, and what would this create and the consequences, and it's complete madness. But you see that happen, and that's who opposes us politically. So now we also got to get a space force, and we're all going to be up there. It's scary when, it's scary.
Okay, you want to get a little bit more scared? This for you to say that and how like you're kind of like thinking that. Did I tell you about that documentary about the aliens, Encounters of the Fifth Kind?
That's a documentary or a movie?
Documentary.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty much about this guy, Dr. Stephen Greer. I hope I got his name right. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pull up my my notes real quick because I wrote about this.
That's very professional, Taz. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Okay. So we know that the government has admitted that there are unidentified flying phenomenons in the air, right?
Yep.
UFOs. For a long time, for like the longest time since like the 40s, okay, we'll say 40s, like at least, they've been denying no, but it's like the Roswell thing. They said like there's a flying saucer, and all of a sudden they say, oh, it was a weather balloon. How do you mix up a weather balloon and a flying saucer? Do you know what I mean? So like that they're hiding something. I agree that it's good that you hit it because in a sense, what are we gonna do with the knowledge of, yeah, there's aliens out there? It's just gonna be like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do then?
Yeah.
But so this documentary is pretty much talking about how the government the government wants the people to think that these like aliens or like these like crafts and everything, they're actually like in a sense a danger to us, right? Whenever there's been a negative encounter, right? At least recorded.
Right, yeah, that's fair. At least recorded, yep.
So okay, so who was it? Reagan, Ronald Reagan, one of the presidents. So one of his United Nations speeches, right? This is what he says. Because we're talking about, remember I was saying like the world's so divided and everything, blah blah blah. He goes, perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we're facing an alien threat from outside this world?
Hmm. Well, it sounds like a great excuse to rope everyone into the New World Order.
That's what I'm saying. So they want so what they want to do, like they want, you know how like world takeover was a thing, like Germany was trying to take over the world type thing, like world wars and everything. So in a
Yep.
sense, they want to, like, obviously Russia and America were going through like the Cold War, trying to do everything first, right? Trying to get to the moon first and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So in a sense, they want to like conquer space.
Yeah, it's
Do you know what I mean? They I hate to say we, but like humans are the threat to space. Remember I told you?
yeah.
You mean remember I told you?
Space is self-regulating whatever's going on up there before we get up there and mess it up.
Like, what are we gonna do? Stop, go, like, no.
Put traffic lights and stuff. Yeah.
Jetsons. That's not
Yeah.
gonna work.
It's actually we were talking about Elon Musk, and he mentioned the whole Jetsons thing quickly and said that like it makes more sense that we would go into the ground rather than up in the sky because you have more of a like it's a 3D surface in comparison to a 2D surface.
Okay, I don't really get that.
You know what? I said sky and earth. I meant land and earth.
Oh, okay. When you're in ground, you can
It
like
could
go
be
everywhere.
it'd be easier to use the 3D landscape of the earth rather than the 2D landscape of the ground, or in comparison to the 3D landscape of the air. There would be a lot more technology and cost required,
To get
and
there.
like technological advancements to use that 3D sphere as opposed to the 3D
I
sphere we have under our feet.
It's crazy you say that because have you heard of some of these temples and everything that's actually been carved out of the earth?
Temples that have been carved out of the earth, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
There's some in here. Wait, I wrote this down also. Where was it? Oh, here it is. Uh, Kailash. It's in India, I think, and like it's a temple hand carved like out of like that's inside of the earth, and
Beautiful.
people are saying that it's one of the most like beautiful temples ever. And
Hmm.
there's funny because like someone is asking this guru, they're like, so people say that aliens created these things. He goes, I would like to believe that humans carved these out because we were able to do these kind of things, right? But if you want to believe that aliens, like it's kind of like how you said it, but if like I'm open to the idea of they did it, but I believe that we did it, right? Your answer was very very similar to his answer, which was pretty funny. Um, but yeah, they're saying like because of like the fine detail to all this stuff, like how it's possible, especially working from the top to bottom. Like how do you do
Right.
that, right?
Because you have to keep pulling out as yeah, that doesn't I see.
Exactly, and it's tons and tons and tons and tons of stone. How do you do that? So that's why some people say like maybe aliens did it somehow, like because we know that they're way advanced than us and they can do it like that, or at least they have the technology to do it like that, right? They say.
You know, I don't even know that's like it could be maybe like an assumption that aliens are even a physical being as opposed to us seeing like a physical expression of it while they're operating on some other kind of ish. You know, like could they do it? Totally. I'm sure they could figure it out, but like maybe they wouldn't do something that's in the image of our creations, if you will, like something like a temple or something
Mm-hmm.
that like I don't know, maybe that's obviously the river runs deep on this kind of stuff, but I don't know that there's any
Because
correlation towards whatever aliens be about in comparison to like the
yeah,
people,
because
unless they wanted to be worshipped and stuff. I don't know.
yeah, because remember my theory on the whole like Hindu gods could be aliens.
Yeah,
So in a sense, it's kind of like, okay, you created a temple, like I'll give you the technology to make one for me, type thing.
mm.
You know what I mean?
That would
But
make
back,
sense too.
but back to the space force and everything. Um, Apparently there's stories and there's actual like army um statements or yeah statements that they used to stage alien abductions back in the day. Sometimes just
Mhm.
to like try to cause some fear.
Just to like pull some MK Ultra stuff.
There you go. Yes. Um, but so okay, so they would okay. Do you know the theory on like okay? Did you hear the theory on the Pearl Harbor bombing?
I don't believe so.
Um, so the Japanese they bombed Pearl Harbor, correct? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
Okay. So
I
apparently,
believe so. Yeah.
yeah. So like, so I saw this documentary by this guy who was in the army. It's called The Untold Story of the United States of America. It's so good. You should watch it. It's so good. It's on Netflix. I've only watched up to a certain point, and after that, I don't know what it is. I need to get back into it because it goes into
Hmm.
more modern day, so closer to us. But they're saying that after World War One, 97% of Americans did not want to go back into the war,
Right.
and as World War Two was starting, obviously America's like, that's not our war. Like, we're not gonna get involved. So whoever the president was at the time, kind of like hinted was like, listen, if you don't provoke us, then we can't join type thing. Rumor has it is that the president knew that there was going to be something happening to America, but he didn't know that it was going to be that bad. I could be wrong. This is
Right.
bro science, and this is also like my memory while I'm high. Um, um, but he didn't realize that it was going to be that bad of a bombing like Pearl Harbor was. So that's when America's like,
Right.
oh, you guys are going to start shit with us. We're in. We're going to fight now. Okay? That's one scenario.
Hmm.
Another scenario was the 9/11 attacks, right? Um, this is all like theory, all right? This is not facts. I feel like I have to say that before I start talking.
Yeah.
um,
I'm definitely more relevant with the 9/11 attacks in comparison to say like a Pearl Harbor event.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
the 9/11 attacks, the only way they can get into the Middle East was saying that the Middle East did a terrorist attack onto America, right?
Yep.
And let's be honest, and that's what did it, right? But and also you see those videos of how the Trade Center, like the how the Trade Center, like how it actually did collapse and stuff,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on it though? Before I keep going.
Well, obviously, first of all, I feel like horrible for whomever lost someone in that event, and
100%.
it's tough to talk about something that like to answer your question, I'm definitely one of more on the conspiracy theory side of it. Like it did look like a controlled demolition.
Yep.
It
Which is
did.
so sad, right?
You see, I would stress. I don't even know if we are able to do so, but or with the whole how things are being monitored and controlled online. But it seems to me that I am also able to look at other countries' news sources, not only my own, as if I was somebody who was abroad,
Okay.
that lived there, and to truthfully look at both sides. It just looks like both sides are calling each other terrorists, and
Yeah.
it just really puts everything up for question. I wonder what the motivation is. Like you talked about Pearl Harbor, the real war, right? And I'm just repeating something I heard on a podcast recently that I agreed with. The real war, it happened, on the telephone lines. It happened in the boardrooms.
Yeah.
There were casualties that were in differing areas, but it's, I do think that the World Trade Centers, I lean more to the side where I do think America attacked itself. Like you said, it's a theory. We don't know this, but
Exactly.
I do set my heart on that side of it is what I believe. And, like you said, you use the word rile up the nation. I think if, for example, if you want to take away the rights and freedoms of a country's people, the best way to do it and not look like a total authoritarian in doing so is, you spur them on to riot or do
Yep.
something like that. So then
Yep.
you can then step in with military and have the average citizen going around saying, oh, well, you know what? It was our fault. Like, we shouldn't have been. They were only keeping us safe. Like, we were going to tear each other apart. Like, we
Yeah.
started to riot, this, that. Um, I do think that, I'm just wondering what's going on behind it all, right? And
True.
that's where anybody has a theory in that regard. We're really stretching. We know that we don't know what's going on in those closed doors meetings, and but yeah, I do think that America spurred itself on, and I think that it was very economically motivated.
Yes. Yep. Like it was
And
two
it's
two
a
trillion
scary
dollars, I
prospect.
think. $2 trillion, I believe.
It's a scary prospect. Who are these countries in debt to, and why are they engaging in warfare that produces profit
Yeah.
and helps cover the losses of debt as well too? It's
Um.
a lot of questions for sure.
I mean, like you like people saw that like the Vietnam War, right? A lot of people do believe that now. They believe that there was no reason into going into these areas, right? I believe that's kind of like the
Well,
narrative
it's like
coming out now.
why are you fighting in a jungle, right?
Exactly. So if you look at it, like it kind of does show that like America is willing to just fight for no reason type thing.
Yep.
So not talking shit about the American army, by the way. before I get a knock on my door. But no, like with this whole thing. So what they're saying is that they want to create a like alien attack, quote unquote attack, and kind of rile up the people to be like, okay, yes, we have a space force. Let's go fight now.
I've heard some theories as well too that in that direction as well. We see the way that technology is advancing, and we see Michael Jackson back from the dead up on stage in the hologram, and
Yeah, Tupac.
I've heard the theory that they're going to stage and once again complete theory, but you want to rile the people up. Imagine a holographic like nobody's ever experienced or felt before with sonar and all this stuff, a false prophet of a second coming of Christ.
Don't say that. That's gonna like that's
Just
gonna get.
just the
Ooh.
just the clouds departing, and
Bro.
just acting out, trying to put on a show to act out revelations, and that's spoken about in Revelations, right? Is that
Yeah.
there'll be the false prophet, and who knows, maybe that be how it comes to arise is through staging it, and that you want to see people go absolutely ape shit. Imagine that. Imagine them feeling as if God's peeling back the sky and coming to judge you.
Bro, I can't even speak on that because like that stuff actually gets me really scared.
Righteous fear.
You know what I mean? It's really like because I'm a man of like I'm a man of belief. You know what I mean? I believe in there's only one
Yeah.
God. You know what I mean? You kind of shook me with that one, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You got me on the whole Zeus thing earlier, so I'm glad I got you one back.
but but yeah. So with these alien abduction things, so they want to like kind of because remember I told you that apparently America and Russia had a treaty agreement that they're not gonna nuke the moon. Right?
I heard that from my girlfriend actually.
Right? And then what did you say? It's like, do they not understand that the moon is actually like important to our
Like we need it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you hear that Buzz Aldridge, is that his name?
Buzz Aldrin, I think.
Aldrin,
Or
yeah.
Aldrin. I
Buzz,
think so.
Buzz Aldrin, whatever. Did you apparently he saw like when they went to the moon back in the 60s that they saw
Yeah.
like alien crafts?
Yeah, I heard that he said that when he was up there, he saw all kinds of crazy shit, and
Yeah.
they basically he was relaying it back to them, and they're like, yeah, like we're not going to talk about it, kind of thing, or whatever. They were just,
Like why
that's
aren't you
not what you're going to
talking
be
about it?
commenting on. Pay no attention to that.
But
Yeah, it's interesting that there's other astronauts as well, right, who have come out and said that there's some very strange things going on up there, and in that specific instance you're messaging, he's saying all kinds of stuff going on.
yeah. Like okay, so apparently there's some alien weapon stories. So apparently the arm like the army has shot down some UFOs, right?
That's so crazy to think about.
Right. So they have shot some down. They also like apparently in Arizona there's like a lot of them in the desert.
Right.
But so okay, so one of the stories is like, there like it was at a nuclear plant, okay, with like there's missiles and everything. So all of a sudden they felt like this energy, everything started to like turn on, right, and it started to go, and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? Right, and all of a sudden everything just stopped. They said they
Mm.
noticed stuff. They noticed something in the air at the time, and one of the army officials said that he heard or like felt, because they always say that like they're thinking something but it feels like someone's talking to them.
Yeah, they talk about telepathy and things.
Yes,
The accounts,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
And so he said what he heard was like, don't blow this planet up, but if you try, we're going to be able to stop most of your destruction. And that was them just
Mm.
showing them that like, listen, we can turn this on, we can turn this off. Like if you're trying to do anything stupid, we can stop most of what you're gonna do, but don't even try it, type thing.
Right.
And so like just thinking about that, it's kind of like that just kind of shows that like we are not kind of like, okay, well, like theory wise, we are not at the level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it. I think two things.
Mhm.
Either one, they're the ones visiting us. So we
Yes.
want to talk about like, right? They're the ones visiting us. But, or two, the other theory that I have is, I think that the elite, if you will, here on Earth is holding back certain technology from the public's awareness, including those of military officials. And it could be something that was completely supernatural to them as well, though at the end of the day, those who are, if you will, the true rulers of this planet, those few that we probably don't know their names,
Mm-hmm.
probably haven't seen photos of them on the internet and things of that really are controlling everything here on the planet. And maybe they've got some stuff that are like flying saucers or whatever, some technology that they've kept to themselves. They might have hoarded that just things that would seem completely supernatural to us. So I'm open-minded to that as well. It seems more plausible that it could potentially be aliens from somewhere else out in the universe, or demons descending from heaven, etc.
Yeah.
The two theories together is absolutely terrifying. But yeah, I think it's one of those two.
There's like, hey, so you know how I told you they're gonna stage like they're gonna stage something crazy, and like people are gonna be like convinced that like, okay, we need to fight again. Have you heard of Have you heard of the Phoenix Lights?
Yes.
Okay, so there's like 700 witnesses, so like 5 lights, right, in the sky in like a triangle formation, and like some people were saying that like they thought the 5 lights were part of one big craft. Okay, they say that
Right.
craft was like, it was huge, like huge, and like a mile. They say a mile, but that's like, I don't even know how many kilometers, but they say it was like a mile long, right? And
yeah, it was incredibly witnessed at the same time by
exactly
thousands of
700
people, like you
witnesses.
messaged. Oh, there's 700. I thought there was more than that.
Well, like
But
at least
I do
700,
remember
like,
the event.
yeah, like at least like they're saying like at least 700 witnesses were like, there's at least the numbers I saw, they're saying at least 700 witnesses. There's probably more, because like the whole city saw it.
Maybe that's who like documented it. Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah, and so like it happened in Belgium too. Like a little bit before that happened in Phoenix, it happened in Belgium also, and it happened for like a while. Like they were seeing it on and off, but they were also saying that like it was those lights were multiple ships onto a bigger ship.
Right.
So like, and then like the government was like denying it, and all of a sudden like sometimes when they were denying it, it wasn't making any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
The classic.
Classic. One second.
The if it's on Snopes debunker, it's probably true.
There's another website I heard of here. You want to say there's one thing I wanted to tell you about. Oh yes, the the documentary thing. So do you think, like, the documentary was saying that, like, the aliens are not only are they technologically more advanced than us, they're actually more spiritually advanced than us.
Yeah, they're definitely, I would think, more wise as well. It would make
Like
sense.
they have a better, like, kind of like mind body spirit type thing.
Yeah, and if they are demons, then they know heaven better than we do, so they'd have a higher, like you said, spiritual awareness.
Exactly. And so in the documentary, the guy was saying that, like, in a sense, he gets into a meditative state, right, where he just, like, kind of just relaxes, believes, and everything, and he feels like he can kind of contact them through just, like,
Yeah.
trying to channel that energy. Because do you believe that, like, the universe has, like an energy to itself?
There's most certainly a fabric. Yeah.
Yeah.
To answer your question, absolutely. I do. I think that all things are in the lowest form of our, beyond our perception connected.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Um. Okay. So, do you also believe in, like, kind of like, do you really like brainwaves? How, like, you think kind of like brainwaves can um control or, like, have influence into, like, the ways of the universe, or, like, at least your universe?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So they did this experiment where, like, they had this plant, and this plant needed, like, light to, like, kind of survive type thing, and they had this light in the middle, and they put this plant in, like, the corner, and
Hmm.
this light would, like, just, like, it would face different, like, it was an automatic one, but it would, like, go on random and face different directions of the room.
Hmm.
They found that, like, with the energy, they found that the light was going to more to, like, shining more onto the side where the plant was on.
Huh.
So they're kind of saying that, like, yes, this was random, but, like, why was it going there most of the time? And they would, like, I think they were, like, moving, and it would keep going to the plant most of the time. So they're saying, like, is it like the universe kind of, like, moving that light to the plant so it could, like, survive type thing?
It makes total sense to me. Yeah, I learned about how mushrooms are connected underneath the forest floor throughout the entire forest, and that's just a very, like, it gets even more myopic, if that's the right word, than that, right?
Yeah.
We see the physical expressions of everything being connected and the intricacies on our planet Earth,
Mm-hmm.
in nature, and it only makes sense that that those patterns and sustainments would only be at the highest of levels as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This is gonna be, actually, I have two more questions, and then we'll cut it there. One of my questions is, do you think that if us as people kind of, like, get more mind body spirit type thing, not to sound like a yoga head or whatever, but, like, more like, if we kind of more, if we're not the way we are now, where it's a lot of, like, we're hurting the earth, you know what I mean? We're hurting each other, we're hurting ourselves. If you can kind of unite in a sense, do you think this
Do you
world
think we
can
can
go into?
turn this ship around?
Do you think we can turn this shit around before it's too late?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't. As someone who believes the Bible is authoritative,
Mm-hmm.
I think that Revelations most certainly is coming, and things seem to be going downhill. They seem to be getting quicker. There's a lot of people out there who are choosing to do loving things, and God bless them. And those as well who are choosing to fall into darkness. I hope that they do come around, and I pray that those people are able to turn things around. But at the end of the day, I think we as a species, on in the manners that's going to guide us one way or the other. I do believe that all these tools that we're being given, all these advancements, I think that it's in the wrong hands, and
Yeah.
we're going to pay for it. And no, I don't think we can turn it around, man. I think we in our lives, not to sound so grim and stuff, but yeah, I think in our lives we can choose to, you know, try and honor God through our conduct and love one another,
Yeah.
and try and set a very positive experience for ourselves through the tribulations if we are faithfully strong enough, and you know, try and touch those around us with that positivity, love, and light. Absolutely. I'm a total hippie in that sense, though. Can we turn
I
this
love that
on the
feeling.
larger scale ship around? Absolutely not, man. I think that we've already hit the iceberg,
Yeah.
and we're sinking.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you're trying to say like kind of worry about yourself, not really like the world, and like worry about yourself and like your surrounding type thing.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that
I mean, if you think about it like that, if you think like that and worry about yourself and your surrounding, and if a lot of people are thinking like that, that could kind of spread, and then we're
I think that there's a lot of people on this planet that are loving and want good things for planet Earth and
mm,
each other. I think the people that are in the opposite camp outnumber us and are continuing to grow.
unfortunately. My last question. I actually asked this to my last guest, Yasin, and he kind of like it was hard to think because like I was just really high when I thought of it. So if you know how there's Western culture and Eastern culture, as we were talking about earlier,
Yep.
if that were to switch, do you think that the world would be in better hands? Or like do you think the world would be in a different place or a better place even? Like maybe not like the culture in like the in a sense
Yeah,
like the
like
pop
am
culture
I
stuff,
comparing?
but like if the eastern hemisphere was given eastern hemisphere eastern if the eastern side of the world was given all the possibilities and all the greatness that the western side of the world got, if the eastern side got that, and like vice versa, if that flipped, everything that they're doing goes the opposite way. So like
Yep.
like all these places would like North America and all that stuff would be a lot of like factories and everything. You know what I mean? Like there'd be more.
I feel like
I
we'd be
personally,
better off to have the opposite perspective, to be in the other person's shoes.
yeah,
So you mean?
kinda, yeah.
You
And do
know,
you
I
think the
think
world wouldn't
that
be so messed up too? That's a crazy one to think, right?
you know, it's a really intense thought.
Right?
At the end of the day, I think the differences that separate us around the world are much less than we imagine them. I think when it comes down to individuals' hearts, that they are, you know, we could compare cultures or ways of living or political infrastructure and all those sort of avenues. I think at the end of the, you know, would we be, yeah, it would definitely be interesting. And I think we'd have more perspective into one another and understanding. And it's definitely like a really peaceful thought and optimistic. And I like that. I think that at the very core of us, we're not as different as it may appear sometimes in the things that we hold to be of significance. And yeah, once again, gloom and doom, man. No, I don't think that's. I think when it comes down to it, yeah, we're not as different as we think,
Yeah.
and I don't think that it would help much.
When do you think? Okay, since you think we're kind of like sinking, when do you think was the time that we had to kind of like steer the ship the other way?
Um, Adam and Eve in the garden, straight up.
We had no chance, bro.
Yeah, I think that we're
Okay.
still here and receiving love and things of that is a manner. You said that you're, you know, you believe there's one God,
Mm-hmm.
as I do, and I think that there's a lot of mercy on God's part that we are here now, and you know, we keep pushing the buttons. It keeps progressing onwards, and it's been a lot of mercy, and I believe in the righteous judgment,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of righteous fear for it as well, because I believe that Satan has the ability to, you know, it's his playground here on earth in many regards, and there's things that he can do to you in this lifetime that are going to be horrible. Though at the end of the day, God is whom gets to be the determiner of your eternal fate. And so that's where my righteous fear lies, if you will. I believe this deep in my bones. If I could sum everything up very quickly, it would be that I picked up the Bible a skeptic, and I continue to read it as a believer. And I do believe it's authoritative. There's a lot of things I'm practicing that would make me appear a hypocrite. I think that the sanctification process takes a whole lifetime, and to truly repent is to walk away from something. I think I've been making good steps. I really can't make any valid excuses for why I would do anything that I know now scripturally isn't that I should be doing.
Right.
But yeah, man, I picked up the Bible, a skeptic, someone who had looked into the backgrounds of many other religions, alternative thinking, liked to think for myself, very rebellious. And the Bible's changing my heart straight up. The teachings of Jesus Christ is transforming me from the inside and progressively on the outside in my conduct as well.
I respect that. That's actually a really good way to end off this podcast.
Sweet, man. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you for coming on, man. Honestly, have you been talking
second
about
time
this for
doing a video chat?
Yeah, second time doing a video chat.
Yeah, first podcast, but second time ever being on a video chat. So that was an experience in itself.
How'd you like it?
It's terrifying. Once again, ending on the same note, man. I'm archaic. I'm old fashioned, and yeah, man, this technology stuff scares the shit out of me.
All right, man. So on Spotify, they just look up Archaic. You want to spell it for them?
Yeah, man. It's Archaic. It's an actual word in the dictionary. Archaic. I didn't pull the whole spell it differently than it's actually spelled thing. It's spelled the way it is. It means old fashioned, and yeah, whatever platform you like, you search that and you'll be able to find my music. I hope you enjoy it.
All right, guys. Thank you, Kevin, for coming on. This won't be the first time. You know what I mean? I'm going to have you back on another time. Hopefully, like, when I get a bigger space, because we live in the same city, you can come over. And we can be face-to-face and speaking, right?
Tinfoil hats and gas masks. We'll make it happen.
Exactly. Perfect. All right, buddy. You take care. You have a good night, man.
Thanks a lot, brother.
All right. Peace.